Hey guys. All right, so this is part two, our spoilers for people who read the book or who just want to know everything that, kind of happened. J.lynn, Jennifer Lynn's Fall With Me. Yes, I know the words. Already covered that. That'll be the case. But I read everything on my Nook. I really don't have a lot of hardcover books. Anymore, just because I read them so much, and I can go through like this. Like I could probably read from this series. I could read all four of them in like two days. If I wasn't tired, I could probably get through them in like a day and a half. So I always like to have them on me because it's too much work carrying all those books around. But like we said, this was Roxy and Reese's. She works at Mona's. So all the things we got to cover. She's got her friend Charlie, who's basically a moving vegetable, who, is in the hospital, suffered from the accident from Henry Williams, who we later find it hit him in the back of the head with a rock because, him and Roxy got into a fight and they were arguing because he was trying to hit on her and she wasn't interested. So Carl started teasing Charlie about the fact that Charlie was gay, calling him, homo, and then called her, I think, either a lesbian or dyke, used one of those words to be like, oh, is that why you're hanging with him? And she got into a fight. Charlie wanted to leave. So she had major guilt about that. Henry did go to jail, but now he is out, and he's trying to make amends to Charlie's family, to Charlie, even though Charlie really can't understand, and to her for the way he acted. This is when they were in, I want to say around their last year of high school. So they were all really young, did stupid things. So in that kind of retrospect, I kind of understand Henry. He did something really stupid. He made a choice. It was a very bad one. He was kind of, but basically drinking, getting turned down by a girl that he clearly, seemed to kind of like because he had hit on her a couple times, it said, and, just did something very stupid. But once again, if anybody who's a bit older knows, you're in high school, you see people do stupid stuff. And this was the lesson he learned. He went to jail, okay, that you don't do stuff like that. So, he learned from his mistakes and now wants to make amends. In the meantime, Roxy and Reese, it's a whole big to-do because she had liked him since forever. We found out that he first initially noticed her when she was probably 15. She was parading around outside in a really tiny bikini. And, since he was 18, he was like, oh my God, I have no business looking at a 15-year-old. What is wrong with me? But kind of continued to kind of find her attractive, but kind of pulled away until she graduated and she was working, taking college courses in graphic design and working at Mona's, and he came back from overseas and was injured, and she kind of welcomed him back, and he said she was one he kind of wanted to see. He immediately started on the patrol force and had answered a call, and it ended bad. It ended bad with him shooting and killing a person, and that was something that hit him really hard. He kind of fell into a big slump where he wouldn't talk to anybody, and his friend, who main character from our last book, the owner of the bar, kind of pulled him out of it. But he and Roxy start up this friendship, and it's hinged with flirting because they both really like each other. They just aren't aware that he's aware that she's liked him for a long time, but she's not aware that he kind of likes her. So one night, he's kind of out of it, and he drinks and asks her to bring him home. Now, he's doing it because he can't drive. She's thinking, because they've been flirting all night, that he's picking her up, basically. So she takes him back to his place, and she makes the move and kisses him, and it gets into this whole hot and steamy thing. But he is drunk, and he passes out. So she stays there to take care of him and kind of do all that. And then when he wakes up the next morning and kind of sees their situation, he thinks that he slept with her and is freaking out because he basically was more the fact that when he decided he was going to broach that, which it seems like he was going to, that he wanted to kind of make it special for her, that he wanted to, almost do flowers and candles and junk like that type thing, and was more appalled for the fact that he could not remember anything. So he thought, what is, how could this have happened? Turns out he actually didn't touch her. Nothing happened really. I mean, they kissed, they kind of went, third base type of action, but didn't do anything. And she was going to tell him, as she says, but for the fact that he started freaking out like, oh my God, this was such a mistake, this never should have happened. She took it more as him like, oh my God, I'd never sleep with you in a million years. This is, ugh. Whereas opposed to he was just more like, I can't believe I would have touched you when I was not in a frame of mind that I even remember it or known what I could have done. I could have hurt you. I could have, that kind of thing. So big miscommunication. So instead, she lets him believe that they had a bad hookup and she's, whatever. Further complications come down the line because we find out that his dad was a cheater, and he's constantly getting divorced, remarried, cheating. He's a big liar and kind of all that stuff, and it kind of left hurt and devastation. He was a dirty cop, so Reese kind of wants to be a cop to, be a better cop, and kind of like make up for his dad's mistakes, but he can't stand lying. So that comes to a head at a certain point when, she does that and he like flips out on her like, I can't believe you would lie to me. You let me think for a year that, we hooked up and I had hurt you or done something because you wouldn't talk to me. You were mad at me. And then when in reality she was kind of making a bigger deal than, I don't know. I mean, if a guy, it would be hurtful if and somebody go, oh my God, that shouldn't have happened. But I would almost want to stick around and be like, wait, what do you mean it was a mistake? Why shouldn't it have happened? And kind of heard that out. Because if you kind of gone from that thing, it could have saved a lot of trouble. But whatever. In the meantime, mysterious things start happening in Roxy's apartment. And it's sort of, I don't know. She thinks she's being haunted. But we find out she's actually being stalked. And she finds this out when she discovers when she wakes up and thinks she's getting a text message, but then opens her phone and sees that somebody had taken a picture of her while she was asleep. So it was, she was like, found underwear in the dishwasher. I don't know, all this stuff that you were kind of like, okay. But that somebody had been doing all this stuff in her apartment. She thinks that it's Henry because he'd been getting a hold of her a lot, trying to make amends. And she just thought maybe now he was stalking her and doing all this stuff almost kind of to dig the fork in and, kind of drive her nuts. She gets mad at Reese because Reese is like, I really don't think it's him. And that's more for the fact because, almost sort of doing a profiling of, doesn't really seem motivated, that this is a person who's really going after her. Obviously, the second they start bringing in the neighbor when he kind of has a reaction to her being like, I've seen you before, haven't I? And that kind of thing, like, that he kind of has a reaction. He's around when certain things are happening. The roommate Kip. I'm sorry. The second Kip was introduced, I was like, oh, you know what? I bet you he's the one. Okay. Because it was like really like, I don't know. Can't make everything bunch of twists and turns. But in the end, we find out Kip is basically, he's a cuckoo, that he really liked this girl, and the initial, kind of the trigger that he had liked her and she wasn't having it, and kind of put him in the friend zone, and, was kind of doing all this stuff and hooking up with guys and kind of doing whatever she wanted, but wasn't aware that he loved her. So he basically, it doesn't say exactly, but basically we get the impression that he killed her and probably did some sort of like, I don't know, like American Psycho, you know, or just psycho, you know, basically has her body like probably decaying somewhere, you know, going back and, you know, like, how are you, sweetie, you know, kind of thing. Like, that's kind of how unhinged he is. After that, you see he starts to make surrogates and, you know, has girls that, you know, look a certain way. And he thinks that they're kind of how he originally liked this girl and how she was pure and kind of like that, until he finds out that obviously that's not the case. There's something going on. They're doing something that they shouldn't be. And then he was brutally raping them. He was leaving them alive, but he was attacking them, hurting them really bad, and breaking into apartments and doing that. He'd been following Roxy for a while, and we find out that he thought Roxy was like perfect, like kind of like eccentric, nerdy, but basically kind of living, you know, not doing anything too bad, because even though she was going on lots of dates, she was not having sex. Which I'm trying to remember now if she was actually a virgin when she was with Reese or not. I can't remember. Anyways, either way, she starts hooking up with Reese because he's protecting her from, you know, this and that and the stuff that's going on, and they're finally, you know, admitting all this stuff. But Kip has a secret stairwell from his room that goes down into her closet, so he's been able to take video pictures and all this stuff and spy on her and basically, you know, do the whole watch her while she's sleeping. You know, no offense, I was a Twilight fan, but still that's something that the thought of it creeps me out, you know, somebody staring at you while you're sleeping. That's creepy. But anyways, we find out that he basically kind of loses it and gets angry and aggressive when he realizes that she is basically having sex with Reese. That's what kind of, you know, he makes it like, oh, and then now you're being a whore. He turns you into a whore, kind of like that unhinged thinking that you're like, okay. He trashes her apartment when she moves in with Reese to set up the security system. Basically, he said because he wanted her to come back and didn't know how else to get her to come back into the building. So it comes to a head that she basically finds the secret passageway in her closet and goes up, confronts him. It's one of those things where, you know, she's for sure thinking she's going to die. Reese comes in and thinks for sure that, you know, oh my God, this is going to be bad, until she was getting all her stuff in order. We know Charlie died, and that kind of helps her do a move-on process. But she calls to basically have a talk with Henry, you know, to kind of hear him out, you know, as a kind of moving on thing. And when she doesn't answer him back, he gets a hold of Reese and says, you know, I've been trying to get a hold of her, we're supposed to do this, and then goes to her apartment, sees the apartment door open, kind of hears stuff, and decides to go in, lands up sneaking in behind, and he's the one that actually saves the day and saves Roxy's life, because, you know, while Henry's having a stare off with Reese, you know, with the knife to her throat kind of going at him, Henry sneaks in up back and whacks him over the head. Doesn't kill him, but saves the day. So once again, another thing, as soon as he's kind of like in that thing, it's sort of like, you know, it's going to happen, but it's still, it's fun to go with and see. But I think that I don't know. Like I say, it kind of went through everything. In the end, I did feel like it was a little rushed, which I did not care for. It hinted for things that we can see are going to happen in the next book with, you know, the character Nick and all that. But I don't know. It was just, like I said, I think the end went, I felt like it kind of, I feel like it kind of came to it a little bit fast. But it was good. you know, kept you on your toes. Not really, but it was different material. You know, you were kind of like little things you kind of didn't think, you know, took a spin that you were like, oh, I didn't think about that. But then when they had the things, you did know who it was going to be, what the issue was, you know. But anyways, by the end, he does his thing. He's a cop. She gets over her, decides to go and commit fully to her art and work at Mona's because that's her real dream. She was doing college to kind of make up for Charlie not being able to do anything. So, you know, happily ever after kind of bit. No really jealous spouses or ex-spouses or anything like that. So that works out good. I don't know. I just think, like I say, I gave it 3.5. Just because the first 2 books, I especially liked the second book, but just the stuff that was dealt with and the way it was handled, I don't know, I just felt like it went by a lot faster in this book. But she's got a lot to do, so like I say, I don't want to harp on her. She does good work, and she does, you know, a lot, and, you know, trying to meet the deadlines so she's not one of those authors, you know, kind of making her fans happy. So I love her as an author. I love the stuff she does. Even the teen stuff, even though it doesn't get into some of the super intense that her adult books do, they're still good, even when they're, you know, dealing with like content that's kind of like, okay, like supernatural or not of this, you know. But like I say, love her as an author, and this was a good book. Next book I'm going to be doing a review of is the basically 4.5, which deals with Reese's brother, and that little that was part of a little series. It's called Dream of You, but it's, I don't know, part of the 100,000 Nights or something like that. I don't know. Look it up and do it. But that is going to be my next one, and that one will probably just be spoiler type review, full review on its own without another part, because I mean it was really short. So, but anyways, all right, you guys, I'll see you from the Maddening Mind of Haley B.